What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. My name's D-Free here. Today, we will be taking a look at several different things as it pertains to Beepan. Hope you guys enjoy, of course. Hit that subscribe if you happen to be new for more content. So, that being said, now, if you guys watched last night, I did a video where I did a showcase. I'll leave that down below. You guys can check it out. And it didn't actually dawn on me until pretty much the end of the video that this unit can't be gauged the way that you can gauge a lot of other units in the game based off of damage, attack stats, things like that. So she actually has different viability, and she's going to be one of those units that's so good with some of the other stuff that'll allow some of you guys that maybe struggle with things like the Hybrid Saiyan, Super Battle Road, or just other content in the game, allow you guys to have a way easier time and just kind of complete that content. And of course, she's going to be super clutch in just about everything you guys take her to. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about her because there's a lot of criticism on this unit because, again, she is not the most hardest hitting unit, struggles to even get a 1 million attack stat, for example, which is crazy, right? So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Now, by the way, this is actually a re-upload. I redid the video because there was a slight calculation error. If you guys watched it earlier, there was a calculation error. I went ahead and fixed all of that. So, that being said, 3,333 HP key sphere obtained. So, pretty cool, I guess. Not really ever going to be used. She has a 25 and a 30% chance to stun between her two super attacks. Recovers 33% of damage dealt as HP. High chance to reduce damage received by 55%. She has a active skill, which is all allies get 33% attack for 1 turn, and which can be activated starting from the 3rd turn from the start of the battle. So that's really, really good. Imagine if, you know, your cards could transform on turn 3. That'd be really cool, man. Some of them can do turn like 4, but that's RNG based in most cases, if not all of them. So there we go. Moving on. Only viable link she really has would be Shattering the Limit, GT, and the other ones are kind of come and go. She does, however, have the new Goku's Lineage category. I don't know what that category would be. Due to the amount of units in here, you would think that it's a 130 category, but I'm going to say that it's probably going to be 150 across the board because it is an LR leader. If it is, of course, the Goku that's the leader, which it obviously should be. So, let's go ahead and talk about Pan. Now, some of her negatives. For one, there is no natural attack gain. No natural defensive gain either, right? Another negative for the unit is that she does actually keep her same potential system, which was the plus like 2,700 or whatever that she got as a TUR, 3,000, whatever the numbers were. So 8,400 to 10,500. She keeps that. That does not change. So she is the first LR in the game with that low of like stats. Like these stats are like lower than some TURs, like a lot of TURs at this point. 14,000 attack at rainbow level is just not impressive, and I'm being honest. But moving on, another thing that's really cool about her is she has the lowest cost in the game, I believe, among LRs just in general. So 59 cost is pretty cool to help you guys fit more cards in your team, of course, which in the future maybe it's more viable than it is now. So last little things I do want to talk about is, again, she's the first character in the game with an active skill. Now, of course, it's only for 1 turn, but on that 1 turn, all of the allies do pick up a 33% attack boost. Pan is designed to be an off-rotation floating unit, but you can leave her on rotation if you want to have that healing every single turn. But as an off-rotation floating unit, that type of support passive, the ability to deal damage and then recover a percentage of it back, and then also potentially block the hit that she would receive is really good. I would love for this to have been a great chance, which would have been 70, of course, but this is 50% chance to reduce the damage received. But I would say that, you know, at least on hybrids where you have a defensive support, 50% defensive support almost always, assuming that that unit's on rotation, or this unit's on rotation anyway, she should be fine with her natural defense and stuff like that, and then, of course, the leader skill. So let's go ahead and compare Pan to some of the other healers in the game, though. That's one of the things that I do want to do to let you guys kind of know. But to do that, I want to set up different types of healers. There are several. There are characters that heal at the start of the turn, like LR Goku Black and Zamasu. They heal 15% of your total HP at the start of the turn. So if you have 400,000 HP, regardless of the damage you do, whatever the case is, they will heal only 15% of your HP. So that's what the LR will do. And these other characters in the same bracket, the same thing applies to them. There, of course, are situational heals, like the LRs that do come in and max heal you. Piccolo, I believe, also max heals below 30%, whatever the case is. There are units that transform and heal differing amounts, like the Frieza. And Turles, who doesn't heal outright, but he does post-transformation. There is this new mechanic, I guess, with Cooler, where he needs to take a hit, and then if he receives an attack, he recovers 7% HP at the end of the turn. Then there are more units like the AGL Whis, Gohan, the Goku here, where when you're below a certain threshold, things trigger. So there we go. But this is the last part that really is important, though. And this is actually important for the video because we will be taking a look at a couple of these units here. So there are characters that recover a total percent of your HP when performing a super attack. For comparison's sake, we're going to pop open the units we're going to consider here. If you were confused about this, I'm going to go ahead and explain it. So Beerus, for example, his 12 key will heal 7% HP. The Ultra Super will heal 12% HP. Now, it is not based on the damage that you do. This is not a damage percentage heal. This is the same thing as Goku Black's. Pretty much a heal based on your total HP. It's just not at the start of the turn. It just triggers the super attack. It is not built into the passive at the start of the turn. That is the only difference, okay? So the same thing goes for Cell. He actually only heals 10% of your HP. It doesn't say a total of the damage that he deals out like Pan does. So keep that in mind. So that is important to know because when we take a look at some of these units and the way that they function, you can already see that Pan was set up to be basically the best healing unit in the game. If you checked out the showcase last night, you would see that there were scenarios where Pan was dealing maybe 900,000 damage on a critical hit, which is not impressive damage, but that viability, 33% of that, additional attacks, etc. You get it. So moving on, let's go and take a look at some of the numbers. So there's a lot here, but don't worry, I'll kind of make sure that everybody understands what's going on. So there are different scenarios. So Pan will be considered on Hybrid Saiyans for these numbers. Huge shout out to DeVille for the numbers as well. So her attack stat on average as a floater, again, not on rotation, is just 434,000 attack stat. Now, for the calculations, the only thing that DeVille did not do was account for additional attacks because it's subjective. You could give the static number of like level 5 or whatever the case is, but nonetheless, just keep in mind that we didn't consider additionals. So if the character were to get an additional, especially Pan, for example, who deals damage and recovers, she would be fine. Whether it's a normal additional, no crits on it, a critical additional, additional super, whatever, right? She could potentially heal a lot more. A couple of notes here. Beepan's healing will vary based on the event barrier. If she crits, she has advantage / disadvantage links, etc. Basically, anything that affects the damage she deals will affect how much she is able to heal. And there are different scenarios that are accounted for here. For future reference, this does apply to Tech Super Buu as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So her average heal is just 71,000 HP. I say just, but that's quite a bit. Versus bosses with a 50% barrier. The barrier is damage mitigation because a lot of bosses do have damage mitigation built into their events as opposed to high defense, which is why lowering defense versus bosses a lot of times winds up being irrelevant. Unless you're Broly, I guess. Anyways, so that being said, moving on. If she were to have advantage, that is 1.43. Or 143, not 1.43. I don't know why I read that. 143,351 heal. If she has crit, it is 136. With crit and advantage, it is 204,275. Also do want to point out that when the word advantage is used here, because apparently crits and advantage do not stack, when it is used here, that is the potential system investment ability. There's a potential system investment ability that allows for you to do extra damage when your character has type advantage because that ability does stack with critical hits. So that's something new that I just found out. Anyways, let's move on from that. If she were on rotation, so by the way, just to summarize that, her maximum heal without accounting for additional hits is 204,000 as the third slot unit that you see once every 3 turns off of rotation. If she's on rotation with Bulla, who they share links with, and then of course, has the very, very powerful support passive, her attack stat on average is 775,000 basically. So her average heal is pretty much, these numbers almost double when she's with Bulla. It's really, really out there. But anyways, 127,000 with a boss that has a 50% barrier. With advantage, it is 255,000. With crits, it is 242,000. And with crit and advantage, it is just 364,000. Again, not accounting for additionals. That is a lot to heal. Considering that in best case scenario, your teams nowadays could have up to about 600,000 HP. Not much higher than that. If you are a Mega Whale, you're going to be in that area. If not, you're probably going to be closer to 400,000, maybe even 5 if you are lucky with your pulls. So that is a lot of HP to heal. 364,000. Wow. Now, let's take a look at Super Buu, who has the exact same passive, except he doesn't have the chance to reduce damage, which obviously makes him a worse unit, but he also heals 3% less. So it's another scenario with him because he doesn't, this is a good barometer, because he's on the same type of team. He does not have access to at the start of the turn attack boost or anything like that. Just to show you how busted this Pan would be, by the way, if she had a start of the turn attack boost, this number would be so high. Like, she can't even have that because she's already too good of a healer. If she got a start of the turn boost, this number shoots way up, probably up to like 500, and that's too high to heal, right? So she basically is a built-in Senzu Bean in a lot of scenarios. Not even Senzu Bean, but I will say, like, you know, she's going to heal probably about 50% plus, right? So that's a lot of HP to heal, especially for free, and then she could potentially block back. I really do wish they gave her a great chance to block. But again, no blocking here. So average attack as a floater is 405,000 on the Imagine Buu Saga team. So average heal with crit and advantage is 173,000. So that in relation to Pan, who gets up to 204. Obviously, it does pale a little bit in consideration. So we come down here. We have the man on rotation now with Physical Kid Buu and his amazing support passive. The number does jump with advantage and crit all the way up to basically 339,000. So even with that Kid Buu, the links they have, he still doesn't get close to Pan by herself. Well, not by herself, excuse me, but with Bulla. So Bulla is just a little bit better, of course, than Kid Buu in this evaluation. Bulla and Pan's combo is a little bit better than the Super Buu Kid Buu combo. So another note for Kid Buu, or for this guy here, is that he does have the same exact note as Pan in that his damage is subjective, the heal is subjective as a result. Buu also shares the infinite regeneration link with Kid Buu for 6% HP healing on top of his average passive healing. On a 100% Majin Buu Saga team running this Buu and Physical Kid Buu, that makes for around 30k more healing. So on rotation, he's healing 30k more healing, or 30k more HP, excuse me, just because he's on rotation with Kid Buu and they share a healing link. So his number does get staggered a little bit because of that. So for comparison's sake here too, we have LR Beerus, 12 key super, when linked with Tech Beerus, 79,000, and the 18 key super linked with Tech Beerus, which there's a typo there, Hydros, 102,780. So the reason why it's important to note they're linked with, because for one, for one, it's just you'd want to do that, right? They'd be on rotation in that scenario when they're linked with Tech Beerus, but because they share a healing link as well. And then we come here, Cell. He's healing just 49,000 on Android team. So these are some of the numbers like this, and of course that's not a knock against these guys. Their main things are doing more damage, stuff like that, but you can kind of see where she's going to be a really good unit for a really long time. A unit that can heal this much is going to be viable for a really, really long time. And even if you don't account for the advantage numbers and you just look at the crit, 242,000 heal is still an insane amount of HP. And for a lot of people, that's still over 50%. And then again, we still account for the potential additional. So, like, stuff like that, man. She is going to be very good for a long time. So, please, if you're somebody that only cares about the attack stat, just damage, you got to kind of branch out from that. Because in this same vein, we're looking at Bulla, too. You see the damage difference Bulla provides. Pan goes from 434 to 774. That is an insane attack stat boost. So, you know, and these numbers skyrocket. So keep that in mind too, guys. It's not all about the individual attack stat of the unit. They're amazing 150% attack passives or whatever. Some of this stuff does matter, but I will acknowledge that depending on the scenario that you're in, the content you're taking on, maybe you don't need a healer, right? So we'll see what happens. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe if you were new, and I'll catch all of you guys in the next one.